We were supposed to have a meeting of Eurozone finance ministers today, rubber stamp the whole deal, and we're not getting that, are we?
We are not getting that. We may get a telephone call, though, of European finance ministers. So all is not lost. They may be talking by telephone, but it's a continued delay in what has been a very fatiguing series of delays. The primary concern is that the rest of the Eurozone doesn't, frankly, trust that Greece will carry through on the reforms that it's promised. Greece has said, look, we'll cut our budget if you guys give us money. The other Eurozone countries say, if we give you money, we want to make sure that you cut your budget first. There's a little chicken and an egg problem here, and that the delay is a reflection of that.
And Charles, obviously, some of the concern is what happens after the caretaker government that's currently running Greece decides what it's going to do, because, austerity measures are just not popular in Greece.
They are indeed unpopular, and the timing is just very unfortunate for everybody concerned. We're now in mid-February. There's a massive bond repayment that nobody wants actually to have to make in mid to late March, and then there are elections in April. And I think everybody, at least in the Eurozone, would be happier if they could change the order of those last two events so that they were able to, make sure that the election happens in a way that reflects what they want to have happen.
Right. But I don't know that we can do that. So, I mean, what happens? Our headline right there, you can see it says EU says time is running out. Time is running out, and nobody's really moving on this. What happens? How much time do we have left?
Time is actually legitimately running out. So there are not a lot of options. The bond that comes due in March is 14.5 billion euros. Greece does not have the money to repay that. The Eurozone does not want to give Greece the money to repay that. What they'd really like to do is have that bond to be part of the debt restructuring. As part of the restructuring, it gets pushed back, 20 or 30 years. Now, of course, the bondholders know that. They're less likely, as every day that passes, less likely to go along. One possible situation that appears to be discussed is some sort of bridge loan to get Greece through the next several weeks and to allow us to talk about this more into the spring. But the options are really dwindling at this point.
And Charles, 2 months ago, we seemed to take kind of the nuclear option, Greece coming out of the EU, going back to the drachma. We seem to take that off the table. Is it back on the table?
Nothing is off the table with Greece at this point. The biggest problem with the messy Greek default scenario is that Greece right now has a primary deficit. It has been unable to erase its deficit before accounting for interest payments. So even if Greece says, you know what, I'm not paying back any more debt, I'm not making interest payments on my euro-denominated bonds, I'm just going to start with the drachma today, they don't have enough money to keep the lights on in the government, and they'd be faced with massive short-term cuts. And they don't really want to do that. I mean, so they're in a tough negotiating position.